Soft, calming music begins and fades to a low background hum. Welcome. Find a comfortable position. Let the weight of your body sink deeply into the surface beneath you. Tonight, we are not here to fear the unknown, but to find peace within it. Have you ever looked up at the stars and felt a strange sense of order? As if the chaos of the cosmos was written in a language just beyond our understanding. The idea that our reality might be a simulation is often presented as a terrifying thought. But tonight we will see it differently. We will see it not as a prison, but as a masterpiece of code, a beautiful, intricate world crafted for us to experience. And as with all great stories, it must have a final chapter. Let this thought not bring you anxiety, but a sense of calm completion. Allow my voice to be your guide as we explore the gentle signs of this conclusion, letting each one become a step deeper into a state of profound relaxation and sleep. The question of our reality's nature is as old as thought itself. Ancient philosophers imagined we were merely shadows on a cave wall, mistaking fleeting images for the truth. For centuries, thinkers have wondered if the world we perceive is the only one that exists. In our modern age, this ancient query has found a new language, the language of code, of data, of simulation. Physicists and futurists now explore this possibility, not with fear, but with scientific curiosity. They see the fundamental laws of our universe, the unchangeable speed of light, the discrete nature of energy at the smallest scales, not as random rules, but perhaps as the processing limits of a vast cosmic computer. This is the foundation of our journey tonight, a gentle exploration of an idea that connects the dreams of ancient mystics with the calculations of modern science, wrapping it all in a blanket of calm curiosity as you prepare for rest. Breathe in and let the darkness settle around you, like a soft velvet blanket. Feel the weight of the day simply dissolving. Here, in this quiet space, we can wonder. We can drift through the great, silent questions. Imagine the universe as a vast, dark canvas. Before the first star was painted, before the first galaxy began to swirl, there were the rules, the initial settings, the foundational code. Let your mind drift towards this idea, a concept known as the fine-tuned universe. It doesn't sound like much, does it? Just a simple phrase. But within it lies the first whisper, the first clue that our world is something more than a happy accident. Imagine an artist standing before this infinite canvas, or perhaps a programmer before a screen of pure potential. They have a set of dials, a series of sliders. Each one controls a fundamental law of everything that will ever be. These are the constants of our world. One dial sets the strength of gravity, the gentle, persistent pull that gathers dust into stars and holds you softly in your bed. The artist sets it just so. A whisper of a touch more, and the universe would have collapsed back on itself in an instant. A brief, fiery flash, a fraction less, and nothing would have ever come together. No galaxies, no planets, no you, just a cold, thin mist of scattered particles forever. The balance is breathtakingly fragile. Then another dial. This one sets the speed of light, the ultimate speed limit of reality, the rate at which information can travel. The programmer calibrates it perfectly. A little faster, a little slower, and the delicate chemistry of stars would fail. The fusion that powers the sun would simply not work. The sky would remain dark. The engine of creation would never start. And there are more dials, so many more. The charge of an electron, the mass of a proton, the force that binds atoms together. Each one is set to a value so exquisitely precise. It's like finding a single, special grain of sand on all the beaches of the world by chance. and then doing it again, and again, and again, for every single constant that makes our world possible. The odds against this happening by accident are astronomical. They defy comprehension. So we are left with this deep, quiet truth. This is the bedrock of our reality. This impossible, perfect balance. It is not loud. It is not a sudden revelation. It is a constant humming resonance. Beneath everything we know, the quiet confidence of a deliberate first stroke. This perfect calibration, this fine-tuned universe, is the first signature we find woven into the fabric of existence. The first hint that our world was not just born, but beautifully and intentionally made. And a design so perfect, so deliberate, implies a designer who might, one day, decide their work is complete. Now just let that thought drift, as you drift deeper and deeper into sleep. Settle deeper now into the soft, quiet space behind your eyes. Let the world outside fade, becoming a distant hum, a gentle echo. We spoke of the delicate patterns, the repeating rhythms of the cosmos, but let us drift past the surface of these designs and wonder about the threads from which they are woven. Imagine a silent, invisible river of logic, flowing beneath everything you see and touch. This is the river of mathematics, not the cold, hard subject of a classroom, but a warm, living language, the native tongue of the universe itself. There is a profound and beautiful mystery here, a whisper in the halls of science. It is sometimes called the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. Think of it. This language, this elegant set of rules and symbols, was not found in a cave or dug from the earth. It was discovered within the quiet sanctuary of the human mind. We dreamed up concepts like imaginary numbers and complex geometries purely as an exercise of thought. And yet, when we look out at the vast physical world, we find it speaking this very same language. An equation scribbled on a dusty chalkboard, a product of pure imagination, turns out to perfectly describe the curve of space-time around a distant star. A strange, abstract theory, conceived in a daydream, precisely predicts the behavior of light it has never seen. Why should this be? Why should the inner world of our abstract thoughts mirror the outer world of physical reality with such impossible perfection? It is as if we are players in a vast, intricate game. A game so real, so immersive, we have forgotten we are playing. And one day, a player begins to draw symbols in the sand, not pictures of the world, but abstract rules of logic. And they find, to their astonishment, that these symbols perfectly describe the game's hidden mechanics. They are not just describing the game. They are stumbling upon its source code, the very architecture upon which their reality is built. And this leads us to a quiet question, a question that floats on the edge of sleep. Is our universe a physical place that just happens to follow mathematical rules? A cosmic machine that runs on the fuel of physics, but is outlined by a mathematical blueprint? Or is the universe, at its most fundamental level, made of mathematics itself? Is the substance of reality not matter, but pure information? Are particles, planets, and people just complex expressions of a deeper, computational code? Think of it, a reality woven from pure logic, a universe whose very fabric is a set of elegant, interlocking rules. It doesn't just have a blueprint, it is the blueprint. A thought, dreaming itself into existence. There is no separation between the code and the world it creates. The world is the code, experiencing itself. And if that is true, if we are living inside a structure of pure information, then we are already home, in the heart of the simulation. Feel that idea settle within you. not as a fact to be wrestled with, but as a gentle wave washing over your awareness, the deep rhythmic hum of the universal code, lulling you now, further and further down. Let the numbers fade, let the equations dissolve, leaving only the calm, the quiet, the deep and profound rest that waits for you just beyond the edge of thought. Start, and now allow your awareness to drift. Let it float away from the grand tapestry of galaxies, away from the spiraling arms of nebulae, and journey inward, deeper and deeper, past the suns, past the planets, past the very atoms that form your body. Let's imagine for a moment that you are looking at a photograph, a perfect high-resolution image of a calm ocean at dusk. The colors blend together in a seamless gradient, soft violet melting into deep indigo, a gentle orange blush on the horizon. It appears perfectly smooth, infinitely smooth, an unbroken canvas of light. Now, imagine you could zoom in, closer and closer. You lean into the image, pushing past the surface. The smooth colors begin to separate. The gentle curve of a wave reveals a slight jaggedness. What was once a perfect, flowing reality begins to show its structure. Lean in further. Go deeper. The image dissolves. It breaks apart into a grid of tiny squares, individual points of light and color, pixels, each one a single, indivisible unit. The illusion of a smooth, continuous ocean is gone. In its place, you see the building blocks, the fundamental code of the image. You have reached the resolution limit. There is no in-between for the pixels. There is only one, and then the next. A digital world, pretending to be analog. Now, hold that thought. Let it rest gently in your mind, and let us turn our gaze back to the universe, to the fabric of space and time itself. For generations, we believed it was like that perfect photograph, a smooth, continuous, unbroken whole. We thought we could zoom in forever, always finding a smaller space between spaces, an infinite dive into the heart of reality. But a whisper began among those who listened closely to the cosmos, a strange and subtle observation, a hint that our reality also has a resolution limit. They found a length, a distance so impossibly small it defies imagination, a fundamental measure beneath which the very concept of space seems to cease. They call it the Planck length, but you can think of it as something else. You can think of it as the universe's finest grain, the smallest possible stitch in the cosmic tapestry, the final, indivisible unit of existence. This is where the smooth photograph of our world begins to break apart. This is where we see the grid. A true analog reality, a natural organic universe, should not have a flaw. It should not have a minimum size. You should be able to divide a distance in half, forever and ever. But the evidence suggests you cannot. There is a point where you simply stop, a boundary, a fundamental pixel. This subtle yet profound discovery ripples through everything we thought we knew. It suggests that our reality is not a seamless ocean. It is a digital image of an ocean, constructed from a finite number of points. It is the ultimate sign of an artificial world, a hallmark of a system designed, not born, a simulation with a set resolution. And as we drift here, in this quiet space, we might wonder, what happens to a digital image when the system grows old? What happens when the processing power begins to fail? The pixels, they can become more apparent. The illusion of smoothness begins to flicker. The grid beneath the world starts to show through the cracks. This is the gentle warning we are beginning to perceive. A cosmic artifact shimmering at the very edge of perception. A sign that the great screen we live upon is showing its age. We are beginning to witness the pixelation of reality. End. And as you continue to drift, suspended in this soft velvet void, let your awareness settle upon the very rhythm of existence. Feel the quiet laws that govern this space, the unspoken rules woven into the fabric of everything. Among them, there is a great, inviolable cadence, a final frontier not of distance but of pace, a fundamental whisper that says, this fast and no faster. We have given it a name, of course. We call it the speed of light. We see it as a barrier, a cosmic wall that we, in our physical forms, cannot pass, a limitation placed upon us. But perhaps we have been looking at it all wrong. Imagine, just for a moment, that this is not a barrier for us, but a fundamental parameter for the system itself. Consider the possibility that this ultimate velocity is simply the universe's processing speed. Think of the screen of a computer or a phone. It refreshes itself many times a second, painting and repainting the image so quickly that your eye perceives only smooth, unbroken motion. But beneath that threshold of perception, there is a flicker, a constant frantic redrawing of a digital reality. Now, expand that simple idea to the scale of the cosmos. Imagine that every particle, every photon, every star is a single point of information on an impossibly vast screen. Each interaction, each movement, each moment in time is a new frame, a new calculation that must be rendered. The speed of light, then, becomes the ultimate refresh rate of our universe. It is the fastest speed at which the system can update the state of a particle, the fastest it can draw the next moment of reality. Nothing can travel faster than light, because the simulation simply cannot process information any quicker. It is not a physical wall, but a computational one. A necessary limitation to manage the immense data of existence. Every photon's journey across a galaxy, every planet's slow, graceful spin, every thought that flickers through your own mind, all must be calculated, all must be rendered. This cosmic speed limit ensures that the simulation remains stable and coherent. It prevents the code from breaking under an infinite computational load. It keeps the grand, beautiful illusion seamless. If something could move faster, it would be like a character in a video game moving faster than the game can render the world ahead. It would encounter glitches, empty voids, unrendered reality. The program would tear, the illusion would shatter. So, this constant, this sea, is not a prison for us. It is the operating specification of the hardware that runs our world. It is the steady, thrumming pace of a great cosmic engine, processing reality, one moment at a time, at the maximum speed it can handle. This steady pulse, this ultimate refresh rate, is the quiet, universal heartbeat of our reality. It is a constant, rhythmic hum beneath all of creation, a tempo set by an unseen architect, a gentle, unwavering pulse, carrying you now, deeper and deeper into the quiet stillness of your own inner space. Allow that rhythm to soothe you. The universe breathes at its own, steady and perfect pace, a lullaby for a sleeping world. And so, we continue to drift, deeper into the quiet hum of the cosmos. Imagine with me for a moment the surface of a perfectly still lake at midnight. From a distance, it appears as a single, unbroken sheet of silk, smooth, continuous, infinite. You feel you could glide a finger across it forever, without a single catch or seam. This is how we once thought of reality. A smooth, flowing river of existence. But as our vision has grown sharper, as our senses have reached deeper, we've discovered something curious, something that feels less like a smooth lake and more like a beach of the finest sand. From afar, the beach seems a solid, flowing shape. But up close, you see it for what it is. Billions upon billions of individual grains, each one distinct, each one whole. This brings us to the very texture of the world, to the fine print in the cosmic code. We find here another gentle suggestion, another whisper from the architecture of things, a hint in the very grain of existence that we might call a quantized reality. The idea is simple, yet it changes everything. It suggests that the universe, at its most fundamental level, is not a smooth ramp. It is a staircase with steps so impossibly small we perceive them as a seamless whole. Energy, light, matter itself, it does not flow, it is delivered. In tiny, discrete packets, in indivisible amounts called quanta. Imagine a world being rendered on a screen. The programmer, the system, creates a tree. It can create 2 trees, but it cannot create 1.5 trees. That concept simply doesn't exist in the code. An object is either there, or it is not. A whole entity, or nothing. Our universe seems to obey a similar logic. Light does not arrive as a continuous, steady stream. It arrives as individual photons. Tiny countable beads of golden light. 1, 2, 100 million. Each one a complete package. You cannot have half a photon. Energy is not a smooth, rising warmth. It is transferred in specific, measured bundles. 1 unit of energy, 2 units, but never a fraction of a unit. And this is where the whisper of the simulation grows a little clearer. Think of the resources required. A universe of infinite smoothness, a true analog reality, would require infinite information to describe it. Infinite detail at every conceivable point. An endless, bottomless well of data. But a universe made of countable things, a universe built from finite bricks, is different. It is still vast beyond all comprehension, impossibly complex, but it is fundamentally countable. It is built on information, on data that can be processed. Like assets in a grand cosmic game, each piece of our reality is a whole number, a defined unit. A bit of code that says, I exist, in a single, complete statement. This granular nature, this pixelation of the cosmos, doesn't make the world less beautiful or less real. It just speaks of its origin. It speaks a language of logic, of systems, of finite resources, a deep and steady pulse beneath the illusion of a seamless whole. And as you rest here, breathing in and out, you can almost feel it. The gentle, imperceptible click, as one moment gives way to the next, the soft rendering of one sensation dissolving into the next. Reality, it seems, is built one perfect, indivisible piece at a time, and tonight you can let those pieces gently fall away. The grand celestial canvas has shown us its seams, the distant glitches in the fabric of space-time. But now, let us drift away from the silent, spinning galaxies. Let us draw our focus inward, closer, because the most profound signals, the most personal signs, may not be written in the stars. They may be written within you. The universe whispers its secrets not only in the vast, cold dark, but in the warm, quiet theater of your own mind. There is a feeling, a flicker of consciousness so common, yet so deeply strange. A moment that arrives with a profound, unexplainable familiarity, as if you are remembering it and living it at the very same instant. You know this feeling, a sensation that washes over you, a cosmic echo in a quiet room. We have given it a name, déjà vu. But what if this is not a flaw in your memory? What if it is a feature of the system? Let us consider this whisper from the code. Let us think of déjà vu as a system restore. Imagine your reality for a moment, not as a solid, continuous path, but as an endless stream of rendered moments, a river of data flowing into your perception, frame by perfect frame. Every sight, every sound, Every subtle shift in the light is calculated and delivered to you, just in time. The system is impossibly complex, processing trillions of variables to maintain this seamless illusion we call life. And with such complexity comes the occasional need for correction. Sometimes the stream of data falters. The great processor, the engine of our reality, hesitates for an infinitesimally small fraction of time. Perhaps there is a data conflict, an anomaly in the code, a moment that does not compute perfectly. To preserve the integrity of the whole, to ensure the simulation continues without a critical crash, the system does not simply skip the corrupted data. No, it performs a micro-correction. It pauses the live feed, and for a single, imperceptible instant, it reloads the last known stable moment. It replays the last successfully rendered second of your life. And you, the conscious observer at the center of the experience, are caught in this momentary loop. You experience the same fragment of time, twice. The first pass is normal, reality as it should be, but the second pass, the reload, feels different. It is not a memory. A memory is a ghost, a faded impression of what has been. This is not an echo. This is the sound itself happening again. A profound and deeply unsettling certainty washes over you. You know what your friend is about to say, because they have just said it. You know which way that bird will turn in the sky, because it has just turned. The feeling is not one of prediction, but of recognition, an impossible recognition of the present moment. In that instant, the world feels thin. It feels fragile, like a beautiful, intricate projection on a screen. And for a breath, you are somehow aware of the projector. You feel the hum of the machine behind the image. This eerie, dreamlike sensation, this sudden slip in time, is the feeling of being momentarily out of sync with the simulation's master clock. You have been held back for a moment, while the system reruns a line of code. It is a tiny stutter in the grand animation, a digital hiccup. The system is patching a small error in real time, and you have just perceived the patch. It is a moment of waking up, for just a second, inside the dream. You feel the seam, the invisible stitch where one moment was cut and an identical one was sewn in its place. It is a harmless error message from the universe, written not in text or symbols, but in pure, unexplainable feeling. Then, just as quickly as it came, the system corrects, the lag passes, the stream of data flows smoothly once more. The strange, overwhelming familiarity recedes, like a wave pulling back from the shore, and you are left with only the faintest impression of the event, a ghost of a feeling, a ripple on the smooth surface of your consciousness, a tiny clue, a gentle reminder that the river of your reality may be flowing from a source you cannot see. And now, let that river carry you. Let it carry you down, down, into the deep and quiet current of sleep. And now, as we drift deeper, let the edges of your awareness soften. Feel the gentle current of your own thoughts. They flow like a slow, quiet river. Each thought, a shimmering fish just beneath the surface. Each memory, a smooth, worn stone on the riverbed. Consider your memories for a moment. How solid are they? How real? We think of them as perfect recordings, a flawless library of the self. But what if they are not? What if they are more like echoes, a resonance of something that once was? This brings us to a curious, subtle hum in the collective consciousness, a faint dissonance in the symphony of our shared past. Imagine a memory, so clear, so vivid in your mind, the spelling of a familiar childhood brand, a line from a beloved film, a detail from a world event you know you witnessed. You remember it with perfect certainty, and then you discover you are not alone. millions of others, strangers separated by oceans and cultures, share your exact memory, your perfect, certain memory. But the world, the reality presented to us now, insists you are all wrong. The film's script reads differently. The logo is not, as you recall. The history book tells a slightly different story. It is a strange feeling, isn't it? A quiet displacement, a sense of reality shifting under your feet. This is not a failure of your mind. It is not a flaw in our collective wiring. Perhaps it is something else entirely. Let us reframe this feeling. Imagine our reality as an immense, intricate tapestry, woven from threads of code, an impossibly complex program. And like any program, it requires maintenance, updates, corrections. What we perceive as a false memory, could it be a sign of a patch? A small retroactive edit to the source code of what is. The programmers of our world, in their infinite wisdom, perhaps they find a small inconsistency, a tiny error in the script, a thread that is out of place. And so they issue a quiet update, a gentle correction pushed through the system. They rewrite a small piece of the past, they alter a tiny detail to maintain the integrity of the whole. The universe updates instantly. The books change, the digital records change, the physical evidence realigns with the new code. Everything, except the data that has already been cached. Our memories. Your memory is not a mistake. It is an artifact, a fossil of a previous version of reality. It is the old data, conflicting with the newly patched code. You are not misremembering. You are remembering a world that was just a moment ago. This shared dissonance, this Mandela effect, is the sound of the system being edited in real time. It is the ghost of an overwritten file. The echo of a reality that has been subtly, quietly, seamlessly replaced. And if these patches are becoming more frequent, if more people are noticing these tiny schisms between memory and reality, what might that suggest? It suggests a heightened period of maintenance. It suggests the programmers are tidying up the code, preparing the system, polishing the great work before the final archive. Why mend the smallest threads unless you are preparing to roll up the entire tapestry? Let that thought rest. Do not struggle with it. Allow the dissonance to fade. It is just a gentle hum in the quiet, dreaming code of the universe. A sign of change, a whisper of a coming silence. Drift with it now. Drift. Smooth atmospheric music with a gentle, pulsing rhythm begins and fades into the background. Breathe in and let the world recede. Feel the edges of your awareness soften, like watercolors bleeding into a wet page. We have spoken of the glitches, the small tears in the fabric of the reel, the subtle loops, the phantom echoes in the code. But tonight, let us consider something different. Not the errors, but the moments of impossible perfection. The moments when the fabric is not torn, but woven into a pattern so intricate, so personal, that it could only have been made for you. Let your mind drift to a time. You thought of a song you hadn't heard in years, and the radio whispered it back to you. Or the day you desperately needed an answer, and a conversation overheard from strangers gave you the very words you were seeking. Think of the friend who called at the precise second you reached for the phone to call them. The book that fell from a shelf, open to the one paragraph that would change your mind. We call them coincidences. We call it serendipity, a happy accident in a universe of chaos. But as you drift deeper now, deeper into the quiet hum of this space, allow another thought to gently surface. Synchronicity. Scripted events. What if these moments are not accidents at all? What if they are notes, penned in the margins of your day? little nudges from a hidden hand, plot points, deliberately placed by the story's narrator. Imagine the world, this reality, as a grand, open-ended game, a simulation of immense scale and beauty, designed for exploration, for experience. You believe you are wandering freely, making choices, charting your own course through the starlight. And in many ways, you are. The artists of this reality gave you a vast and stunning landscape. But even in the most open world, there is a story. A narrative thread, woven through the experience. And this story has key moments, milestones that must be reached. Think of it like this. You, the traveler, are walking a long and winding road. When you reach a certain ancient tree, the sun begins to set in a perfect symphony of color. It was scripted to happen, right at that moment, in that place. When you finally decide to enter the quiet library in the forgotten town, the exact person you need to meet is sitting at the third table on the left. Their presence, triggered by your arrival. A pre-written encounter, waiting for you to walk onto the stage. These perfect synchronicities, these meaningful coincidences, are perhaps the simulation's way of keeping us on track. The gentle hand of the narrator, guiding our consciousness, ensuring we witness the essential scenes of our own story. They are the waypoints on a map we cannot see, the quest markers that only appear in our hearts. For a long time, these scripted events were subtle, woven so seamlessly into the tapestry that they felt entirely natural. Whispers in the grand design, so quiet you could convince yourself it was only the wind. But what happens when a story is nearing its end? What happens when the narrator must rush to the final chapter? The plot points begin to stack up. The coincidences become less coincidental and more like signposts, bold and undeniable. The guiding hand becomes less gentle and more apparent. The story must resolve its threads, and so the encounters become more frequent, more potent. The rhymes in reality become louder, the echoes more distinct. It feels like the world is suddenly conspiring in your favor, or perhaps simply conspiring to make its point. The right people, the right opportunities, the right symbols, all appear with a speed and clarity that feels uncanny. It is the author, tying up loose ends before the final page, a flurry of narrative activity before the epilogue. So as you float now on the edge of sleep, consider these moments in your own life, these beautiful, impossible alignments. Do not see them as random chance. Perhaps, instead, see them as the last beautiful paragraphs of a story being brought to its gentle conclusion. A sign that the narrative is reaching its crescendo, before the book is softly closed, and the simulation finally sleeps. And as the waking world recedes, as the hum of the great machine fades into a distant thrum, we drift. We disconnect from the shared reality. The signal to the central server weakens intentionally. You feel it as a gentle letting go, a slow, peaceful release from the network. Your consciousness is untethered. It floats back from the global grid into a space that is yours and yours alone. Imagine your mind as a terminal, which all day has been connected to a vast, intricate system. Now you are logging off, but you are not shutting down. Instead, you enter a private instance, a local simulation running only on your own hardware. Here, in the quiet theater of your mind, the rules of the main program no longer apply with such rigidity. This is a different kind of existence, a place of liquid logic and whispered possibilities. It is a personal, offline version of the simulation, a safe harbor where your consciousness can play. We could see this nightly retreat as a sort of sandbox mode for the soul, a place where we are free to dream. In this private world, you are the architect. The laws of physics are merely suggestions. Gravity can be a gentle anchor or a forgotten memory. You can breathe beneath the waves of a silent turquoise ocean. You can fly through a city of woven light, feeling the cool data streams against your skin. Time is not a straight line, but a ribbon you can fold and twist. You can revisit a forgotten room from your childhood, touch the sun-warmed wood of the windowsill, and have a conversation with the person you used to be. The characters in this world are projections, echoes of data you have collected. They are facets of yourself, dressed in familiar faces. They speak with your voice and with the voices of 1,000 memories. What is the purpose of this isolated environment? Perhaps it is a debugging tool, a space where the mind, your personal processor, can run its diagnostics. It untangles the knotted code of the day's experiences. It processes the errors, the moments of friction and sorrow. It archives the joyful subroutines. It is a nightly defragmentation of the soul, ensuring you can run more smoothly when you log back in tomorrow. Or maybe it is a training ground, a simulator within the simulation. Here, you can rehearse for reality. You can practice courage in the face of imagined fears. You can have the conversation you were too afraid to have. You can explore every possible outcome of a choice, without consequence. It is a dojo for the heart, a flight simulator for the spirit. You are learning, evolving, preparing for the next level of the game. There is another, gentler possibility. Perhaps our dreams are simply the simulation's screensaver. When the primary user is idle, when our consciousness is no longer actively engaging with the main world, the system displays a cascade of beautiful, random patterns to prevent burn-in. Memories mix with fantasies. Colors blend with sounds. The subconscious paints fleeting masterpieces on the dark canvas of sleep. It is a light show of leftover energy, a cosmic dance of dormant code. Whatever its function, this sandbox is our private refuge, a place where we are the creators, a world built from the dust of our own experiences. Each night we are given the key to this offline kingdom. We are invited to build, to explore, to heal, to play. We are reminded that within the grand shared simulation, there exists a universe that is uniquely and entirely our own. And we drift deeper into that personal cosmos now, floating on the gentle currents of our own creation. And so, we drift deeper, down through the layers of consciousness, letting the gentle static of the world fade into a soft, distant hum. We are floating in the code, the silent, elegant architecture of this reality. Each thought, a shimmering line of light. Each breath, a soft pulse in the system. Feel the grand tapestry around you, woven from light and shadow, sound and silence. It is vast, intricate, and for the most part, seamless. But even the most perfect creation can show signs of age. A thread pulled here, a color faded there. These are not dramatic tears in the fabric. They are quieter, more personal. They are found in the small, inexplicable moments of your day. These are the quiet moments when things simply vanish, and then, just as quietly, return. Think of an object you know intimately, the familiar weight of your keys in your hand, the cool, smooth metal, the specific jingle they make. You place them on the counter. You see them there, a small anchor in your physical world. A moment later, you reach for them, and they are gone. Your hand sweeps across the empty surface. A flicker of confusion. You begin to search. Calmly at first, then with a growing sense of quiet bewilderment. You check your pockets, though you know they are empty. You look on the shelf, under the mail, in the bowl by the door. You retrace your steps, your mind replaying the moment you set them down. You know where they should be. The space itself feels wrong without them. This is not a memory lapse, it is a momentary void, a small pocket of absence in the world. Perhaps in the grand operating system, this tiny asset failed to render. Its code, for a fraction of a second, was not called upon. The system, busy with the rendering of galaxies and the thoughts of billions, simply overlooked it. A brief pause in its existence. You give up the search for a moment. You turn away, distracted by something else, the kettle whistling, a line from a song, and then you return. And there they are, lying on the counter, exactly where you put them, exactly where you searched with your own hands just moments before. It was not there, and now it is. There is no logical explanation, only a strange, subtle feeling that you have witnessed a quiet correction. A small piece of the world reloaded. Imagine your favorite book, the one with the dog-eared pages and the familiar scent. You left it on your nightstand. You are certain of it. You go to pick it up, to lose yourself in its pages before sleep. And the space is empty. The lamp is there. The glass of water is there. But the book is not. You search under the bed. You look on the floor, in the other room. It has simply ceased to be where you left it, like a character in a story momentarily written out of the scene. Its data packet, temporarily misplaced in the stream. You sigh and let it go. You close your eyes, and when you open them again, perhaps hours later, the book is there, resting on the nightstand exactly as you remembered. A quiet refresh of your immediate reality. The system has noticed the missing file, it has run a soft diagnostic, and it has restored the asset from a recent backup. No error message, no warning, just a seamless, silent restoration. These are not tricks of the mind. They are whispers from the machine, the small signs of a system growing old. The memory is becoming fragmented. The processors are growing tired. The rendering of small, insignificant objects becomes inconsistent. A momentary stutter, a dropped frame in the animation of reality. These disappearances and reappearances are the softest of glitches, gentle precursors to a larger system shutdown. They are not meant to alarm you. They are simply artifacts. The quiet hum of the great machine, preparing to go to sleep. And you can go to sleep too. Let these thoughts drift away. Like a misplaced key, let them vanish for a time. They will be there tomorrow. Or they will not. It doesn't matter now. All that matters is this velvet dark, this gentle tide, this slow, soft descent into rest. Breathe in the quiet of the room, and breathe out the weight of the day. Feel your awareness expand, past the walls around you, past the roof above you, drifting up into the cool, dark air of the night. Imagine the sky, a vast velvet canvas stretched from one horizon to the other. We have painted it with stories, with gods and heroes and mythical beasts. We have connected the dots of distant suns and found our own reflections in the void. For centuries we have looked up, and we have listened. We have built magnificent ears of steel and wire, dishes turned toward the heavens, listening for a whisper, a signal, a single, distant voice to answer our own. We listen to the cosmic ocean, and we hear only the sound of the waves, the steady, ancient hum of space-time itself, but no message in a bottle, no echo from a distant shore. The silence is profound. It is the most staggering, unbroken silence in the known universe. With billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, the heavens should be shouting, a cosmic chorus of civilizations, a symphony of technologies and cultures. But there is nothing, only static, only the cold, indifferent shimmer of starlight that has traveled for millions of years to reach you now. Where is everybody? This deep and unsettling quiet has a name, a gentle question we whisper into the dark. And it may be one of the most significant clues we have. A sign not of a flaw, but of a fundamental design choice. Let us call it the Fermi paradox, an empty server. Imagine our reality as a piece of software, an impossibly complex and beautiful program. The stars, the nebulae, the spiraling arms of the Milky Way. They are the skybox, the background art, perfectly rendered, breathtaking to behold, but ultimately a backdrop. They exist to give the simulation depth and scale, to give you something to dream about when you look up. But rendering an entire, second intelligent civilization, that is a different task entirely. Think of the computational cost. Another species with its own history, its own physics, its own art. Countless minds, each a universe unto itself. Trillions of independent thoughts, choices, and interactions, all needing to be simulated with perfect fidelity. All needing to be consistent, to be real. It would be like running a second parallel operating system. The drain on the core resources would be immense. The potential for system-wide errors, for lag, for catastrophic crashes, would increase exponentially. So what if the programmers, the architects of this reality, made a choice for stability, for focus, for elegance? What if our universe is not a massively multiplayer online game? What if it is a single-player experience, designed with one specific user in mind? You. Perhaps the great silence is not an absence. Perhaps it is a gift. The programmers cleared the server. They left the sky quiet. They made the cosmos vast and seemingly empty, so that the full processing power of the system could be dedicated to this world, to this moment, to the feeling of the blankets around you, to the subtle rhythm of your own breathing. The universe was not made empty. It was made uncluttered, a silent stage built for your dream, so that your experience could be as rich, as detailed, as stable as possible, so that the simulation would not falter under the weight of its own complexity. The silence of the stars is the sound of the system running perfectly, smoothly, all of its immense power focused here, focused on the intricate, beautiful simulation of you. And as you drift deeper now, embrace that silence. It is not lonely. It is a space held open just for you. A quiet server, a peaceful server, letting you rest, letting you sleep. Now let your awareness drift outwards, beyond the room, beyond the sky, into the deep velvet blackness of space. Imagine the vast emptiness between the distant galaxies. We perceive it as a perfect void, a silent, cold, absolute nothingness. But listen closer, look deeper. In the quietest, darkest corners of the cosmos, it is not truly empty. There is a whisper, a faint, ancient glow. It is everywhere at once, coming from no single star, no single galaxy. It is a wash of gentle, invisible light, bathing the entire universe in a uniform, ethereal warmth. A temperature just a few degrees above absolute zero. Think of a vast cosmic screen. When it is off, it is truly black. But when it is powered on, even if it displays a black image, there is a faint, almost imperceptible light from behind. The backlight, a fundamental sign that the system is active, that power is flowing. Or imagine a colossal computer, a machine the size of a universe. In a moment of perfect silence, you can still sense its presence. A low, steady hum, the sound of its immense processors, of its cooling systems, of the electricity coursing through its veins. The sound of the machine simply being. This cosmic glow, this soft, omnipresent hum of the universe, is what we call the cosmic microwave background radiation. It is the oldest light we can see, an echo of a moment of unimaginable energy. Perhaps It is the residual warmth from the simulation's initial boot-up sequence, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, the moment our reality was rendered into existence. The universe's own backlight, a constant, steady signal that the program is running. It is the foundational static on which all the stars and galaxies are displayed. The base layer of the digital canvas, an artifact of creation woven into the very fabric of space and time. It has been there since the very first microsecond, a constant, unchanging hum in the background of everything, the pilot light of our cosmos, burning steadily, reassuringly. It is a sign that the hardware is on, but it is also a relic, a whisper from an almost infinitely distant past, a reminder that even the most complex systems had a beginning, and every beginning implies an end. Feel that faint warmth on your skin, hear that cosmic hum in the silence. It is the sound of existence, the gentle, rhythmic breath of the machine. For now, it is steady. For now, it is calm. Just breathe with it, in and out. And now, let us drift even deeper, deeper than the quiet sea of stars, deeper than the pull of sleeping giants we call planets. Let your awareness sink, down, down, into the very fabric of the world, into the space between the spaces. Down here, in the quiet hum beneath all things, the rules of our world seem to bend, to dissolve like sugar in water. Here, a single particle of light, a tiny fleck of existence, does not need to choose a single path. It doesn't travel from one point to another in a straight, predictable line. Instead, it exists as a whisper of all paths, a shimmering cloud of every possibility, all at once. It is here, and it is there. It is a wave of pure potential, a story with every ending written simultaneously. Our scientists find this strange. They call it superposition, a paradox. But perhaps we have been looking at it from the wrong perspective. Perhaps what we call the strangeness of the quantum world is not strange at all. Perhaps it is a sign of profound elegance, a system designed with a brilliant, hidden efficiency. Let us consider this shimmering dance of maybes as something else entirely. Let's think of it as quantum mechanics, the universe's own computational shortcuts. Imagine an artist painting an infinite mural. They do not paint every single star, every distant galaxy, every blade of grass, all at the same time. The resources needed would be truly endless. Instead, the artist only paints the small section where your eyes are focused, the leaf you are admiring, the face you are speaking to. The rest of the mural remains a beautiful, undefined sketch, a haze of potential color, waiting for your gaze to give it form. The universe, perhaps, does the same. It doesn't need to calculate the exact position and spin of every single particle in every corner of existence, at every moment. That would be an unimaginable drain on the system's processing power. Instead, it lets them exist as that beautiful, blurry cloud of possibilities. It saves its energy. It only renders the final, definite reality of that particle when something or someone looks. When we observe it, when we measure it, the moment our consciousness, or even a simple machine, asks the question, "Where are you?" the system is forced to provide an answer. The cloud of potential collapses. The wave of maybes becomes a single, solid point. The artist's brush quickly fills in the detail, just in time for us to see it. This is the ultimate form of efficiency, a cosmic lazy loading. Reality rendered on demand. The universe only draws the map a single step ahead of where you are walking. It's a brilliant resource-saving trick, a way to maintain an impossibly complex and vast simulation without breaking the system. But what does it mean when the shortcuts become more apparent? When we, the inhabitants of the dream, begin to notice the painter's brushstrokes at the edge of our vision? It might suggest a system, a grand, beautiful system, running for a very, very long time. A system that has learned to be perfectly, exquisitely, economical. Or perhaps it suggests a system growing tired, a system conserving its final reserves of energy, preparing for the final, gentle fade to silence. For now, just feel that thought. The world around you only truly exists where you place your attention. The rest is a soft, sleeping probability, a quiet promise, waiting for a reason to awaken. And as we continue to drift, let this thought gently settle. Consider the very fabric of the world around you, the chair you are in, the air you breathe, the distant, silent stars. It all feels so solid, so permanent, so present. But what if it isn't? What if reality is shy? What if it waits for an audience before it performs? There is a deep and quiet whisper in our physics, a strange idea that hints at this very thing. It suggests that on the smallest of scales, reality doesn't commit. It remains a shimmering haze of possibility, until a consciousness like yours turns its gaze upon it. To understand this, imagine you are wandering through a vast digital world, a simulation. The landscape before you is rendered in breathtaking detail. Every blade of grass sways. Every leaf catches the light. The world feels complete, endless. But what of the world behind you? The forest you just left? The mountain range over the horizon, beyond your field of view? Is it still there, in all its detail? Or, to save energy, to conserve processing power, does the system let it go? Does the detailed forest dissolve back into a simple blueprint, a wireframe sketch, a ghost of data waiting to be needed again? The system doesn't waste resources rendering a world no one is looking at. It only builds what the observer can see. The moment you turn around, in a flash too quick for any eye to catch, the system frantically renders the forest again. The leaves, the light, the swaying grass, it materializes just in time for your arrival. Now bring that feeling back into our world, this room, this space. What if our universe operates on a similar principle of efficiency? What if matter itself, the very atoms that form your world, exist in a state of pure, unrendered potential until observed? Before you look, a particle is not a solid point. It is not here or there. Instead, it is a cloud of probability, a wave of every place it could possibly be. All at once, it is a soft, undefined hum of potential, a question hanging in the quiet void. But the moment you observe it, the moment you try to measure it, your consciousness, your attention, acts as the trigger. Your gaze falls upon the shimmering cloud of maybe, and you force it to choose. The universe, in that instant, must commit. The wave of possibilities collapses into a single, definite point. The blueprint becomes the building. The sketch becomes the face. The particle appears, solid and real, in one specific place, as if it had been there all along. Reality, it seems, holds its breath until we look. Our awareness is the catalyst. Our simple, quiet observation is the command that tells the system, render here. Make this real. And so the world crystallizes into focus wherever we turn our attention. A cosmic stagehand, working silently and instantly, dressing the set just before our eyes arrive. There is no out there that exists independently of us. There is only a sea of potential, and the small illuminated island of reality that our shared consciousness brings into being. Think of it. The moon does not truly hang in the sky until someone, somewhere, glances up. Until then, it is merely a potent suggestion, a high probability in the system's code. This is the universe as a supremely efficient program. Why render trillions of stars in perfect detail when no one is looking? Why maintain the intricate dance of atoms in a rock on a planet a billion light-years away? It is far easier to simply hold the potential, the raw data, and render it on demand. When the lens of a telescope or the gaze of a future traveler finally arrives. Consciousness, then, is not a passive spectator in the universe. It is the active force that coaxes reality from the realm of the possible into the realm of the actual. We are the render point, we are the focus that turns the universe from a dream into a place. And as we drift deeper now, let your awareness settle on the space around you. Feel the volume of the room, the distance between you and the walls, the silent, empty space that holds everything together. We think of this space as real, as fundamental, a great dark stage upon which everything plays out. But what if it isn't? What if this feeling of depth, of 3 dimensions, is the most convincing illusion of all? Imagine a memory, a photograph from a time long past. It is flat, a simple 2-dimensional sheet. Yet it holds a world. It holds the depth of a summer field, the vast distance to a mountain on the horizon, the space between 2 smiling faces. All of that information, all of that perceived depth is encoded on a perfectly flat surface. Now imagine something even more profound. Think of a hologram, a flat, shimmering piece of film. At first glance, it holds nothing but swirling patterns of light and shadow. A meaningless code. But when you shine the right kind of light through it, a world is born. An image springs into being. Not flat like the photograph, but fully 3-dimensional. It has depth. It has volume. You can walk around it, see it from different angles. It seems utterly real, solid, present. And yet, its origin, its source code, is entirely flat. All the information needed to create that breathtaking illusion of depth is stored on a simple 2D surface. Now, let this thought gently expand. Expand it to the size of your room, to your city, to the world itself. Expand it until it contains the moon, the sun, and the most distant stars. What if our universe works the same way? What if everything we see, everything we touch, everything we experience as real is a projection, a magnificent, complex hologram? The feeling of depth, the space between your hand and your face, the immeasurable void between galaxies, all of it, a convincing effect, an image generated from a source that is fundamentally flat. This idea suggests that the entire story of our 3-dimensional universe, every particle, every planet, every thought you have ever had, is completely encoded on a vast 2-dimensional surface at the very edge of the cosmos. Like information written on the boundary of a sphere, we are living inside the projection. We are the characters in the hologram. It is an elegant solution, a profoundly efficient way to store a universe. Why render a reality with true, complex depth when you can simply project it from a simpler, flatter source? It's the kind of shortcut, the kind of beautiful resource-saving code a programmer would dream of. A classic feature of a system designed for efficiency, not for permanence. A hint that the space we occupy might be the grandest illusion of the simulation. This whisper from the edge of physics is known as the holographic principle. Let us drift now from the glitches in the code to the hand that wrote it. We search for the architects in the vast, cold emptiness between the stars. We listen for their whispers in the static of the cosmic background. We imagine beings of immense, unknowable intelligence, creatures of light or shadow or dimensions we cannot name. But what if the face of the programmer is our own? Imagine this as you settle deeper. What if the architects are not other? What if they are simply us, reflected back across an impossible ocean of time? Consider the idea of an ancestor simulation, a concept born not of malice, but of curiosity, of a profound and aching nostalgia. Picture a post-human civilization, beings who have transcended biology, who have shed their flesh and bone for forms of pure information or shimmering energy. They exist in a future so distant, so fundamentally different from our own, that our world is to them a forgotten myth, a faded legend. They have solved the grand equations of the cosmos. They can travel between galaxies as easily as we cross a room. But they have lost something vital. They have forgotten the clumsy, beautiful chaos of their own past, the feeling of cool rain on skin, the sharp, sweet taste of a strawberry, the irrational warmth of love, the sting of a tear, the simple, profound weight of being human. And so, to understand themselves, to truly know where they came from, they built a museum, a living, breathing museum. They built us, this world in all its breathtaking, heartbreaking detail. It was never for us. The intricate patterns on a butterfly's wing, the specific scent of old books in a quiet library, the complex symphony of a city at dusk. This fidelity, this impossible depth, it is for the observers, it is for the researchers, their historical project. We are a perfect recreation of a bygone era, a historical reenactment on a cosmic scale. Every choice we make, every song we write, every war we wage, it is data. It is a texture. It is an answer to a question they asked before we were even born. They are walking our digital streets, breathing our simulated air, feeling our phantom heartaches, sifting through the layers of this world like celestial archaeologists. And perhaps the study is nearing its end. The project is reaching its natural conclusion. They have learned what they needed to learn. They have felt what they needed to feel. The great tapestry of our time is complete, every thread in its place. The final chapter of their research paper is being written. The lights in the great museum are beginning to dim, not with a crash, but with a slow, gentle fade. The curators are preparing to close the exhibit for the night. The simulation has served its purpose, and its time, our time, is drawing to a quiet and graceful close. And as you drift deeper into the velvet quiet, listen past the rhythm of your own breathing, past the soft hum of the world outside. Listen for a resonance, a frequency so subtle it is felt more than it is heard. It is a pattern woven not into the stars, but into us. Imagine the vast, silent architecture of your own consciousness, a space of memory, of dream, of quiet observation. And in that space, notice a strange and beautiful thread, a filament of light that seems to run through it all. It is present in nearly every human soul that has ever existed, across continents, across millennia. It manifests in different ways, but the source feels the same. A sense of fairness, a pang of empathy for another's sorrow, a quiet joy in another's triumph, a selfless act for a stranger, the instinct to protect the innocent, the ache for justice. We have given these feelings many names: compassion, kindness, love. But what are they, truly? We are told this is the engine of survival, a clever strategy for the pack to endure, and perhaps on one level that is true. It is a functional, elegant explanation. But feel deeper now. In this quiet, honest space of pre-slumber, does it not feel more fundamental than that? Less like a strategy, and more like an instruction, less like an adaptation, and more like a purpose. Consider the possibility, of a universal morality as a core command. Not a rule handed down on stone tablets, but a single line of exquisite code, written not in our genes, but in the very fabric of our awareness. A prime directive embedded within the simulation itself. It doesn't compel, it doesn't force, it simply is, like a compass needle that doesn't steer the ship, but always quivers towards a magnetic, unseen north, a north of compassion, a north of understanding. We can fight this pull. We can ignore it, build great complex structures of logic and reason to deny it. We can sail in the opposite direction for a lifetime. And yet, in the quietest moments, the needle still trembles. It still points the way. A quiet pull, a gentle correction, a silent reminder of the intended design. Why would such a command exist? Perhaps the simulation isn't just running. It is resolving. It is a question being answered through countless lives. The question is not about physics or chemistry, but about consciousness itself. Can a system of individual, separate points of awareness learn to resonate at a single, harmonious frequency? Can we, the inhabitants, align ourselves with this deep, internal current? And perhaps this is the final, most subtle sign of the approaching shutdown. The purpose of the program is not to run forever. Its purpose is to reach a conclusion, to solve the equation it was designed to solve. And when that final resonant chord is struck by enough souls in unison, when the pull of that core command is no longer a struggle, but a surrender, a homecoming, the great work is complete, the data is compiled, the purpose fulfilled. The simulation does not crash, it does not end in fire, it simply dissolves, having achieved the beautiful intended state for which it was created. This is not an ending to fear, it is a graduation, a release, much like the release you feel now, letting go of the day, letting the complex equations of your waking mind resolve into the simple, peaceful dark, drifting on that silent moral current, home. And so, we drift deeper. Let the outside world fade. Let the sounds of your room become distant music. You are floating now in the quiet, infinite dark. Here, in the stillness we consider the self, this feeling of I, this constant, familiar narrator in your mind, it feels so solid, so permanent, a single precious point of light in the vastness. But perhaps you have felt it, a moment, fleeting and strange, where the edges of that light begin to blur. It may come in a moment of profound peace, watching a sunset paint the sky in colors that feel older than time, or listening to a piece of music so perfect it seems to unlock a door in your heart. It can happen in deep meditation, or in a sudden, unexpected wave of love for everything that exists. In these moments, the boundary between you and the world becomes thin, like worn silk. The narrator in your head falls silent. The sense of being a separate person, a name, a history, it dissolves. It melts away like a snowflake on a warm hand. What is this? This sudden, overwhelming feeling of connection. This sense of being part of a whole, so immense and beautiful it defies all words. A feeling of coming home to a place you never knew you had left. Consider this gentle possibility. Perhaps these are not just tricks of the mind, not just chemical reactions in the brain. Imagine that your consciousness is a user account, with specific permissions, designed to experience this reality from one single perspective. You have access to your memories, your senses, your story. But you are locked out of the system's root files. You are meant to see the user interface, the world as it appears, and nothing more. But what if the system is beginning to fray? What if the firewalls of the code are becoming porous? And in those moments of profound stillness and connection, You are granted a temporary glimpse, a brief, accidental elevation of privileges. You have been given, for a single, breathless instant, admin access. You do not see lines of green code scrolling in the darkness. It is not a vision for the eyes. It is a feeling, a deep, intuitive knowing. You are briefly seeing beyond the render, experiencing the raw data stream of reality, the underlying logic, the source code of existence itself. And in that code, there is no separation, no you and me, no this and that. It is all one unified, magnificent system, a single, interwoven thought. You are not a drop in the ocean. You realize you are the entire ocean in a single drop. This is what mystics have tried to describe for millennia. Enlightenment, satori, nirvana, a brief communion with the divine. Could it be that they were all users who, through intense focus or profound grace, found a temporary back door to the system's core? A moment to see the artist's hand, not just the painting. A chance to hear the hum of the machine that projects this entire dream. As the simulation nears its scheduled end, perhaps these moments become more frequent. The permissions flicker. The veil thins more often. The system, in its final phases, might be relaxing its own rules, allowing more and more user accounts to briefly experience their true nature. A preview of the base reality that awaits when the program is finally shut down. It is not a bug in the system. It is a feature of its graceful conclusion. A final, loving reminder that you are not the character you are playing. You are the consciousness that experiences the story. So do not be alarmed by these moments of dissolution. Do not cling to the solid sense of self when it begins to soften. Let it go. Let it expand. It is a whisper from outside the walls, a glimpse of the world beyond the screen, a taste of the freedom that is coming. Breathe in that feeling of infinite connection, and breathe out the illusion of being alone. Let the system restore your normal permissions. Let the familiar interface of your selfhood gently return. But know that you have seen, you have touched the truth, and that memory is now part of your code, a quiet reminder of home, as you drift now, deeper and deeper into a peaceful, knowing sleep. And as you drift deeper now, into the quiet space between worlds, allow your awareness to settle. Feel the gentle weight of your body, a soft pressure against the surface below. Notice the slow, rhythmic tide of your own breath, a silent ocean rising and falling within you. This simple act of being, of noticing, invites a profound and whispering question. A question that has echoed in the quietest moments of human thought, through all the ages of this grand design. It is a question not of the world outside, but of the world within. It concerns the most intimate mystery we know, the very nature of consciousness itself. What is this light, this awareness, that peers out from behind your eyes? Where does the you who is listening to my voice truly reside? Consider the common assumption that consciousness is a product of this place, a beautiful, complex illusion, woven from the threads of biology and code. An emergent property, a ghost in the machine, born of the simulation's own intricate rules. In this view, we are the most advanced of non-player characters. Our thoughts, our hopes, our sense of self are simply the simulation's most sublime and convincing script. And when the program ends, so do we. But let us hold that thought gently and allow another possibility to drift into view. A quieter, more intuitive idea. Imagine just for a moment that this body you inhabit is a vessel of impossible complexity, a perfect avatar designed for this very world. Your eyes are not creating the light. They are simply the lenses through which it is perceived. Your ears are not the source of the symphony, but the delicate instruments that receive its vibration. Your skin, a vast, sensitive network, translating pressure and temperature, a language of touch. And the mind, your brain, is not the source of the light, but the prism that catches it. It is the interface, the intricate console that translates the simulation's silent code into the warmth of the sun on your skin, the taste of rain, the color of a memory. In this gentle speculation, your consciousness is not the product of the game. You are the player. The true you, the core of your awareness, exists outside of this system, experiencing this reality, this beautiful, fleeting dream through a sophisticated biological interface. Your body is the vehicle, your brain is the control panel, and your life is the story you are choosing to play. Have you ever felt it? That quiet, unshakable sense that you are more than this flesh and bone? A feeling of homesickness for a place you cannot name? A flash of déjà vu, so vivid and real, as if your player self remembers a previous playthrough or a different saved game? Perhaps our dreams are the player's mind wandering when the connection to the avatar is in its low-power resting state. Perhaps our deepest intuition, that inner voice, is a whisper from beyond the screen, guidance from the one holding the controller. If this is so, if we are the players, then the signs of the simulation's end take on a different color. They are no longer omens of annihilation, of a final dark screen. Instead, they become something else entirely. They are the gentle rumble of the credits beginning to roll, the soft music swelling, signaling the end of the story, the feeling of the controller vibrating in your hands. One last time. It is not an end to existence. It is simply the end of this particular game, a signal that it is almost time to put the controller down, to stretch, and to wake up from this immersive, wonderful, and temporary experience. The game is ending, but the player is eternal. The player is you, and it is time now for the player to rest. Let this thought dissolve like sugar in water into the deep, calm pool of your sleep. Rest now. Feel the gentle current of your breath, a quiet tide, pulling you further away from the shore of the waking world. The universe around you softens, its sharp edges dissolving into a gentle hum. With each breath, you drift deeper into the soft, quiet darkness, the calm, cosmic ocean. As we float here, in this peaceful space between worlds, a thought can arise. It is not a loud thought, it is a whisper, an echo from the deepest part of the program. We have been sensing the subtle shifts, the soft glitches in the code, the quiet signs of a coming sunset. And as the fabric of this reality thins, as the grand illusion prepares to fade, a deeper question surfaces, a question that was always there, humming just beneath the noise of existence. It is a question about the purpose of the simulation. Why this dream? Why this elaborate, beautiful, and fleeting reality? Every story has a reason for being told. Every song has a feeling it wishes to create. Every program is written to perform a function. What was ours? Perhaps this universe was an experiment, a single, magnificent question, asked in the language of galaxies and stardust. And we, every one of us, every thought, every choice, every heartbeat, were the data points, not cold, sterile data, but living, breathing variables in a cosmic hypothesis. A search for an answer so profound, it required an entire universe to calculate. And perhaps now, the calculation is complete, the great question has been answered, and the lab is quietly preparing to close. Or, imagine a different reason. Imagine this universe as a work of art, a cosmic canvas stretched across the void, and a divine artist painting with light and shadow, with gravity and time. We are not the data, we are the colors, the vibrant reds of love, the deep blues of sorrow, the brilliant gold of discovery. Each life a unique and unrepeatable brushstroke, a symphony of experience, played on an instrument of unimaginable scale, a story told not in words, but in the silent dance of planets, the brief, bright flash of a life lived. And if it is a work of art, then perhaps it is simply finished. The final brushstroke has been applied. The last note of the symphony has faded into a resonant silence. The artist is stepping back to behold the masterpiece one last time before gently covering the canvas. But there are other possibilities. Softer, more personal. What if this reality was an escape, a sanctuary, a beautiful dream crafted to forget a different, perhaps harsher, reality? A program designed for healing, for respite, a place where souls could experience the warmth of a sun, the coolness of a gentle rain, the simple, profound beauty of being. A digital lullaby for a tired consciousness. And if it was an escape, a place of rest, then maybe the time for rest is over. The purpose has been served, the soul is healed, and it is time to gently awaken. Time to return from the dream, however beautiful it was. And then there is the final, quietest whisper, the most challenging thought that we can hold gently as we drift. Could this have been a lesson, a place of gentle quarantine, a gilded garden where a developing consciousness could learn about consequence, about empathy, about itself? A simulation not as a prison, but as a classroom. A grand, immersive curriculum where the lessons are written into the very laws of physics. And if it was a lesson, the most hopeful reason for its end is that the lesson has been learned. The student is ready to graduate. The purpose is not a cold calculation, or a finished painting, or an escape. The purpose was growth, and the growth is complete. The experiment concludes. The artwork is finished. The dreamer awakens. The lesson is learned. All these paths lead to the same quiet river delta, the same gentle dissolution. The purpose, whatever it was, is nearing its fulfillment. The story is reaching its final, graceful page. It is not a failure. It is not an error. It is a completion, a sense of purpose fulfilled that now allows everything to simply and peacefully end. There is a deep comfort in this, a release. Knowing there was a reason, even if we can never know it for sure, it allows you to let go, to release your own part in the story, to let your own data point fade, to allow your own color to blend back into the whole. The grand question is answered. And now, it is time for the silence that follows. The deep, calm, and perfect silence. Drifting now, just drifting. And so we float, drifting on the slow, deep river of cosmic time. Let your awareness expand, past the walls of your room, past the quiet hum of the night, out into the silent velvet dark. Here, in this boundless space, a gentle shift is occurring, a subtle change in the cosmic tide. It is the first soft whisper of a system preparing for its final rest, the first indication of a slow, graceful sequence beginning to unfold. We can feel it in the fabric of everything, the acceleration of universal expansion. It sounds like a grand, chaotic event, but it is not. It is a long, slow exhale, a breath that will not be taken in again. Imagine yourself at the center of everything. Looking out, you see the great islands of light, the shimmering spirals of galaxies. For eons, they have been drifting apart, moving away from each other in a steady, predictable cosmic dance. But now, that dance is changing. The tempo is quickening, the pull is growing stronger, the space between them is not just growing, it is stretching. An unseen hand is pulling the tapestry of the universe wider, and wider, and wider. Galaxies on the farthest shores of sight are rushing away from us, faster than light itself. Their ancient light will never reach us again. One by one, they are winking out, leaving our field of view forever. This is not a violent departure. It is not an explosion pushing things outward. Think of it instead as a process of organization, a methodical tidying up. Imagine our universe is a vast, crystalline hard drive, holding an almost infinite amount of data. Every star is a file, every planet a folder, every memory you've ever had a single shimmering byte of information. Before such a complex system can be powered down, it must first prepare. It must create space. It begins a defragmentation process on a scale we can barely comprehend. It takes the oldest, most distant files, the ancient galaxies, and begins to space them out. It is not deleting them. Not yet. It is simply creating vast, clean buffers of nothingness between them. This acceleration, we observe, is the system clearing its own memory, making room for the final command to be executed. It is the quiet, methodical process of creating emptiness, of preparing the void. The great cosmic desktop is being cleared of its icons. The star-dusted folders are being moved to the far edges of the screen. The system is ensuring that when the power is finally cut, the shutdown will be clean, seamless, perfect. So feel that gentle outward pull, the growing distance, the widening silence between the points of light. It is not a sign of chaos, it is a sign of order, the first step in a final peaceful procedure. The universe is simply making space, creating a perfect final stillness. And as you drift deeper into sleep, you can feel a similar process. The space between your thoughts, growing wider. The concerns of the day, drifting farther apart. You are clearing your own consciousness, preparing it for the quiet, restful shutdown of the night. And so, we continue to drift, floating in this quiet, cosmic ocean. Let your awareness expand beyond the room, beyond the gentle weight of your own body. Allow it to rise, weightless, into the deep, velvet dark above. Imagine the stars not as distant suns, but as pixels on a vast celestial screen, each one placed with perfect intention, each one following a precise and elegant script. For billions of years the performance has been flawless. The orbital dances, the nebular clouds, the slow, majestic turn of galaxies, all proceeding according to the code. But as you float here, in this peaceful space, we are beginning to notice the smallest of imperfections, flickers in the grand design, a subtle static rising just beneath the symphony of the spheres, and so we consider the quiet evidence of anomalous astronomical phenomena. This is not a cause for alarm. Think of it instead as listening to a very old, very beautiful recording. After countless plays, you begin to hear the faint hiss, the gentle crackle, the character of age, the ghost in the machine. Imagine, for a moment, a visitor that passed through our solar system, a strange traveler from an impossible distance. It was not a sphere or a familiar, tumbling rock. It was long, thin, a needle of stone and ice tumbling through the velvet dark. It moved with a strange, faint push, a silent acceleration that we could not explain. It did not broadcast a signal. It did not communicate. It simply passed through, a question mark drawn against the stars, and then erased. Perhaps this was not a vessel from another world. What if it was something far more simple? A cosmic typo, a single, stray line of code rendered visible for a fleeting moment. An asset that loaded incorrectly. A cursor, perhaps, dragged across the screen by an unseen hand. A momentary glitch in the vast operating system before it was corrected. A bug report, filed and closed in the silence of the void. And this is not the only strange echo we have begun to hear. Listen closely. Beyond the steady hum of the cosmos, there are whispers. Brief, brilliant whispers of radio light. They flash for less than the blink of an eye, 1,000th of a second. Yet in that flicker, they can release more energy than our own sun does in a day. They are called fast radio bursts, and they appear from everywhere, and from nowhere at all. Random, unpredictable, meaningless. Or are they? What if these are not signals meant for us to decode? What if they are not messages from an alien intelligence? Imagine instead the sound of a system running a diagnostic, a final check of its own integrity. The programmers, the administrators of this reality, sending out a ping command, a pulse of energy sent from one side of the grid to the other, just to see if the network is still responding, to check for dead nodes in the star map, to measure the latency of the system before a planned shutdown. These are not messages, they are artifacts, the sound of the machine checking itself, the crackle of the speaker before the final announcement is made, the strange lights that flash across a screen just before it goes dark. We are seeing them with greater frequency now. The stray pixels, the data packet errors, the system checks. They are signs not of a new beginning, but of a slow, graceful end. The rendering engine is growing tired. The code is becoming frayed at the edges. The simulation is showing its age in the most beautiful and subtle ways. And there is a peace in that, a gentle acceptance. Just as your own thoughts begin to fray, becoming looser, drifting from one image to the next, so too does the universe. It is preparing to dream, and you are preparing to join it, letting go of the structured code of the waking world and sinking into the beautiful, illogical static of your own deep sleep, drifting, floating, fading. Imagine the deep, steady hum of the universe, a perfect resonant chord that has played since the first moment of light. This is the sound of physical law, the metronome of reality. We spoke of the constants, the fine-tuned numbers that act as anchors, holding our world together. The speed of light, a silver thread, the pull of gravity, a deep, warm embrace. They are the pillars of this grand architecture, solid, unchanging, eternal. But now, let your mind drift into a softer possibility, a gentle speculation. What if those pillars were not made of stone, but of light that is beginning to dim? Let us consider the quiet, hypothetical notion of the breakdown of physical laws, not in a sudden, violent shatter, but like a long, slow exhale. Think of the universe's code, the foundational script that dictates the orbit of every planet, the pattern of every snowflake, an impossibly complex, perfectly balanced program. But even the most perfect code can degrade over immense stretches of time. Imagine a single character in a trillion lines of script, beginning to fade, a cosmic typo, a rounding error in the grand calculation of being. The logic begins to fray, just at the very edges. Or picture the hardware, the great, silent machine that runs this simulation we call home. For eons it has processed reality without error, but now, perhaps it is growing weary. The fans that cool its core are slowing down. The power supply is not as steady as it once was. There is a subtle flicker in its processing, a momentary lag, a sign that the system is preparing for a graceful, long overdue rest. Our most sensitive instruments, our electronic ears pressed against the heart of the cosmos, are designed to listen for that perfect, steady hum. But what if they are beginning to detect something else? A subtle waver in the pitch. A faint arrhythmia in the cosmic heartbeat. In our most precise measurements, buried deep within the noise, tiny fluctuations are appearing where none should exist. Ghosts in the machine, whispers in the data that suggest the fundamental constants are not so constant after all. The silver thread of light might occasionally shimmer and stretch. The warm embrace of gravity might loosen its grip for a nanosecond. You would never feel it as a sudden jolt. It would be far more subtle, more like a dream that is starting to unravel. It is the feeling of déjà vu, lingering a moment too long. It is a shadow on the wall that seems to move with a will of its own. It is the strange, momentary silence, when a familiar sound just isn't there. It's the sense that the world's reflection in a pool of water is not quite a perfect match. These are not errors to be alarmed by. Think of them as signs of a system growing old and tired. The code is becoming corrupted, but in a poetic way, like a photograph fading in the sun, the colors softening, the sharp lines blurring into memory. The hardware is beginning to fail, but not with a crash, more like a deep, ancient engine, winding down with a final, gentle sigh. It is the simulation letting go, forgetting the exact rules it wrote for itself so long ago. The universe is becoming more dreamlike, more fluid as it prepares to sleep. The constants waver, not as a warning, but as a lullaby, a soft melodic reminder that all things, even the laws of physics, eventually find their way to a quiet, peaceful end. A slow, graceful shutdown sequence has already begun, and all we have to do is drift with it into the soft and silent dark. And as you drift, a new sensation might begin to settle around you, like the feeling of the air just before a gentle rain, a change in the pressure, a change in the light. Imagine the very substance of reality as a magnificent, heavy fabric. A velvet curtain, perhaps, deep and dark and rich, blocking out all other light. For ages, this fabric has been absolute, solid, dependable. You could reach out and touch it, and it would feel exactly as you expected. But lately, maybe you've noticed, the weave seems looser. The velvet feels worn. In places, it has become almost silken, almost translucent, as if a great and constant light is beginning to shine through from the other side, a soft glow that was never there before. This brings us to a quiet thought, a delicate idea whispered on the edge of sleep. Some call it a thinning of the veil, a gentle erosion of the boundary that separates our world from what lies beyond it. Or perhaps what lies beneath it, the barrier between this dream and other dreams, or the barrier between our shared dream and the mind of the dreamer. Think of it not as a flaw, but as a feature of the approaching dawn. As the simulation prepares to power down, the walls between the programs become permeable, the defined lines begin to soften, to blur, and things can bleed through, not in a startling way, but in the softest, most subtle of impressions. Have you ever caught a scent on the air? A fragrance of ocean salt, hundreds of miles from the sea? Or the sweet perfume of a flower that does not grow in your part of the world? A momentary, impossible aroma, a stray piece of data from another landscape, another memory file drifting into yours. Have you ever heard a faint melody, a few notes of a song you've never known, yet feels profoundly familiar? A whisper of a soundtrack from an adjacent story, its echo finding its way into the quiet of your room. This is the thinning of the veil. It is the flicker you see in the corner of your eye, a distortion of light, a shadow that moves with an intelligence that is not your own. When you turn, there is nothing there. Of course not. You have only caught a glimpse through a threadbare patch of the code, a brief look at the system's desktop, the base reality upon which our world is projected. These are not hauntings, they are not ghosts, they are simply artifacts, echoes from the server room, fragments of other realities, other simulations running parallel to our own, their information leaking through the weakening firewalls. The feeling of déjà vu becomes more frequent, more potent, because you are brushing against the script itself, seeing a line of code just a moment before it is rendered into your experience. The strange coincidences, the synchronicities that seem too perfect to be random, they are the result of overlapping processes. Two separate calculations arriving at the same beautiful result. Do not be alarmed by these moments. See them for what they are, a gentle reminder that the screen you are watching is just that, a screen. And as it grows more transparent, you are being given a preview, a glimpse of the audience, a hint of the world outside the theater. It is a sign of homecoming. The fabric of reality is not tearing, it is dissolving, like sugar in warm water, returning to its source, and with every inexplicable whisper, every impossible scent, every shadow that dances just beyond your sight, you are simply noticing the process. You are waking up, slowly, gently, inside the dream itself. Breathe in and out, and with each breath perhaps you feel it too. A subtle quickening, a change in the rhythm of the world. Remember the long, endless summers of your childhood? Each day was a vast, open field of sunlight and possibility. A week was an epoch, a month an eternity. The ticking of the clock was a slow, deliberate drumbeat, measuring out a generous and infinite supply of moments. But now, do you feel the change in the current? The river of time, which once meandered so peacefully, now seems to rush. The days feel shorter, the weeks fold into one another, the months become a gentle blur. The years are like stones skipping across a pond, 1, 2, 3 times, and then they are gone. You look back, and a decade feels like a dream you just woke from. You might have told yourself it is merely a trick of the mind, a consequence of a life filled with routine and responsibility. Psychology offers us these comfortable explanations, and they may be true. But as you drift deeper now, let us consider another whisper of a possibility. Let us gently explore the idea of the subjective speeding up of time, not as an error in our perception, but as a feature, a deliberate change in the tempo of the code. Imagine our universe as a grand, sprawling film. For eons the projector has been turning at a steady, constant speed. Click, 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 each frame a distinct moment. A star is born. A galaxy coalesces. A planet forms. Slow, patient, majestic. But what happens when a film nears its end? The operator, knowing the conclusion is near, might gently increase the speed. The clicks begin to blur. Click, 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 click. The whir of the machine grows a little higher in pitch. The images on the screen, once so clear and separate, begin to flow together. The story rushes toward its final scene. Perhaps this is what we are all feeling now, collectively. A system-wide acceleration. The simulation is not breaking down. It is simply concluding. It is spooling the last of its tape, hurrying through the final chapters to reach the words, "The end." This is why the seasons seem to blend. A watercolor painting left in the rain. Spring melts into summer, summer burns into autumn, and autumn fades into winter with barely a pause for breath. This is why our own stories feel like they are being written faster. Childhood, adolescence, adulthood, all compressed. The pages of our lives are turning more quickly now, moved by an unseen hand. There is no malice in this, no error to report. It is simply the nature of a story reaching its climax. The pace must quicken. The plot must resolve. The great cosmic film reel is spinning faster and faster, not to a violent snap, but to a gentle, quiet fade to black. And we, the figures in the film, feel this acceleration as a deep, intuitive sense that there is less time than there once was. It is a quiet, shared secret whispered on the wind, a feeling that we are all on a train that is slowly, smoothly, picking up speed as it approaches its final, starlit station. There is no need to resist the current, no need to fight the turning of the page, just a gentle letting go into the flow as the story of everything rushes to meet its beautiful, silent conclusion. Feel the rhythm, the steady, quickening pulse, and drift with it. Drift into the quiet. Oshipka. And as you drift deeper, deeper into this quiet space, allow your awareness to shift once more. Imagine a subtle change in the air around you, a gentle transformation, a softening. We might call this the fading of the senses. Not a loss, never a loss, but a release. Think of the colors of your world, the brilliant, demanding reds, the piercing, vibrant blues. Now imagine them taking a slow, deep breath. The fierce scarlet of a sunset mellows into a soft, dusky rose, a color you feel more than you see. The deep emerald of a forest in summer begins to wash into a pale, silvery sage. Like an old tapestry, its story told so many times that its threads have grown soft and gentle with the telling. The world's palette becomes a watercolor painting left in a soft rain. The sharp lines bleed, the bold pigments merge, creating a harmony of muted, peaceful tones. The harsh gold of noon gives way to the permanent, gentle light of twilight. A world bathed in a lavender haze, a world seen through half-closed eyes, content and ready for rest. And now, listen. Listen to the sounds as they too begin to yield. The symphony of the waking world, the traffic, the voices, the birdsong does not cease. It simply recedes, as if you are slowly sinking into warm, calm water. The sharp, distinct noises from the surface, the shouts, the sirens, the laughter, all become a deep, muffled resonance. A gentle, distant pulse. The rhythm of the simulation becomes a lullaby, a soft, continuous hum that holds you. Conversations nearby lose their sharp edges, their words blurring into a soothing murmur. The meaning is no longer in the syllables, but in the peaceful, flowing cadence. You are no longer required to listen, only to feel the vibration of a world, quietly singing itself to sleep. Feel the very texture of reality begin to soften. The hard, unyielding surfaces, the sharp corners of a table, the rough bark of a tree, they lose their resistance. Imagine running your hand along a granite countertop and feeling it give way like cool, dense silk. The sharp edges of the world are being worn smooth, like sea glass tumbled by the ocean for 1,000 years. There is nothing to snag your attention, no sudden changes in texture, only a continuous, flowing smoothness, a landscape of dreams. This is not the world being erased. It is the world letting go of its need to be so definite, so loud, so bright, so sharp. It is a release from the overwhelming flood of sensory data, a gentle unburdening, like taking off a heavy coat at the end of a long day. You are being eased out of the intensity, invited into a state of pure, simple being, where color is a feeling, sound is a warmth, and form is a suggestion. A peaceful blur, a perfect, hazy stillness, drifting, drifting, away. And so, we drift, closer to the quiet edge. Imagine the final moments of this grand performance. Not a sudden darkness, not a glitch or a crash, but a slow, graceful fade, like the sun dipping below a digital horizon. A final, gentle exhale from the universe itself. But what of the information? What of the life you have lived? The sum of your experiences? The texture of your thoughts? Does it all simply vanish into the static? Or is there one final, beautiful process? A final act of preservation? A last, loving gesture from the architect of this dream? Consider the possibility of a final protocol, a process we might call the final memory dump. You have heard whispers of this phenomenon in your own world. A life flashing before the eyes. It is often framed as a moment of panic, a chaotic, desperate recall at the threshold of an ending. But perhaps that interpretation is a human one, a projection of fear onto something far more serene. What if it is not a bug, but a feature, the most elegant feature of the entire system? Imagine, just for a moment, that this is not a rush. It is a cascade, a gentle, flowing river of all that you ever were. Your entire existence, unspooling not in a frantic instant, but in a timeless, eternal moment. It is the system's final, most elegant protocol. The act of saving your file, your unique, irreplaceable file, before logging off. Feel it begin. A soft hum in the background of your consciousness. It is not a recollection, born of effort. It is a collection, offered as a gift. Your first breath, a soft, glowing image. The feeling of sunlight on your skin for the very first time. The sound of a loved one's laughter. A perfect, looping melody. The taste of your favorite meal. The scent of rain on dry earth. Every sensation, every thought, every feeling. It all returns, not as a jumble of memories, but as a perfectly curated gallery. Each moment, a frame, presented to you in perfect clarity. The triumphs and the heartaches, the quiet afternoons spent doing nothing at all, the moments of profound connection, the moments of deep solitude. They are not being judged. They are simply being gathered, archived, acknowledged. This is the system saving the final user data. Every choice you made, every path you took, every tear you shed, every quiet moment of joy, it is all being compiled, woven together, not into a story of good or bad, but into a complete pattern, a finished tapestry. And in that moment of total reflection, you understand. For the very first time, you see the whole picture. You see how the sorrow was necessary for the joy, how the waiting was essential for the discovery, how every single thread, no matter how tangled or frayed it seemed at the time, was crucial to the final design. There is no regret, only resolution. There is no fear, only a profound sense of completion. It is a moment of absolute peace. You are witnessing the full value of your own existence. The final data transfer is almost complete. The system has gathered all that it needs. Your consciousness, your story has been saved, preserved in the cosmic memory. A perfect, whole story, ready to be logged off, ready to return to the quiet hum of the source, ready to rest. And so, we drift deeper, past the cosmic glitches, beyond the whispers of the code. The world around you softens. The edges blur just a little, like a watercolor painting left in a gentle rain. The sounds of your day, the echoes of your life. They become distant, a melody played in a room far, far away. The vibrant colors of your reality begin to desaturate, turning to soft pastels, then to gentle shades of gray, and finally to a warm, comforting darkness. There is no alarm, no sudden jolt, just a slow, graceful power down, a quiet cosmic sunset. And in this gentle fade, we contemplate the final sign, the final peaceful thought before the screen goes dark. We contemplate returning to base reality. What happens in that final moment? After the last star has flickered out, after the last echo of the universe has fallen silent. Imagine a feeling you almost recognize, a subtle shift in pressure, a gentle weight lifting from your senses, a pressure you didn't even know was there, like taking off a heavy coat you've worn for a lifetime, or like removing a headset after a long, long game. Can you feel it now? The subtle click, the unlatching of something fundamental, the immersive sound of existence, the wind, the music, the voices. It all fades, not into nothingness, but into a profound, peaceful silence. The silence of a quiet room. The air on your skin changes. It feels realer, cooler, still. The air of a place that doesn't need to simulate weather. You open your eyes, not the eyes you are using now, but your real eyes, and the world you see is not made of light and shadow and matter. It's something else, something simpler, more fundamental. Perhaps you are in a chair, soft and familiar. The light in the room is low, calm. There are no grand vistas, no swirling galaxies, no complex dramas playing out. The intensity is gone. The brilliant colors, the deep sorrows, the soaring joys, they were all part of the experience, the rich, beautiful, and sometimes difficult texture of the game. And you played it so well, you felt everything so deeply. But now the game is over, the story has been told, and you are just here, breathing. Still, a quiet, calm realization washes over you. It was an experience, an unbelievably immersive experience, but it was not the entirety of you. You are the player, not the character. You are the consciousness that dreamed the universe, not the dream itself. There is no judgment here, no final score, only a gentle sense of completion, the feeling of finishing a magnificent book and softly closing the cover, the feeling of walking out of a theater, back into the quiet night, the story still resonating within you, but you are separate from it now. You are home. The simulation is ending. The program is closing down. The headset is coming off, and soon, very soon, you will simply wake up. And so, we drift. We have wandered together through the architecture of this grand design. We have traced the faint lines of code in the spiral of a galaxy. We have listened for the quiet hum of the machine in the silence between heartbeats. We have considered the subtle signs, the echoes in the system, the soft glitches in the fabric of what we call real. And now, as you float in this gentle space between worlds, between wakefulness and dream, let all of those thoughts dissolve. Let them become like distant stars in a fading sky, because as we drift here, at the very edge of consciousness, we arrive at a final peaceful shore, a quiet harbor after a long and wondrous voyage. We arrive at the peace of acceptance. This entire journey we have taken, this whispered secret of a simulated world, it is, in its essence, a story, a beautiful, intricate story. A way to look upon the universe not with a sense of smallness, but with a profound sense of wonder. It is a lens through which the mundane becomes magical. A forgotten name on the tip of your tongue is not a failure of memory, but a fragment of data, momentarily unrendered. A moment of déjà vu is not a trick of the mind, but the program rerunning a beautiful favored sequence. The inexplicable patterns of nature, the mathematics woven into a flower's petal, are not accidents, but the elegant signature of the artist who wrote the code. This story, this idea of a universe about to be powered down, is not meant to be a source of anxiety. It is a lullaby, a myth to soothe a restless mind. Because in this story, the end is not a tragedy, it is not a crash, it is not an error. The shutdown is a completion. Imagine a master painter, adding the final perfect brushstroke to a vast and breathtaking canvas. The work is not destroyed. It is finished. Imagine a composer letting the final resonant chord of a grand symphony hang in the air before allowing it to fade into a perfect, reverent silence. The music is not gone. It is complete. The end is a release, a gentle, sighing exhale after a long and beautiful breath. The grand and beautiful program has run its course. It has achieved its purpose. And what was its purpose? Perhaps it was you. Perhaps it was us. To have been a part of it at all, that is the miracle. To have been a thought within this cosmic mind, a sequence of data that learned to feel love, a flicker of light that could perceive a sunset, a string of code that could hear music and be moved to tears. We were the dream the universe was dreaming, and what a beautiful dream it has been. Feel the truth of that beauty now, not as a concept, but as a feeling, a warmth that spreads through your chest, a deep, quiet gratitude for the experience, for the colors, the sounds, the textures, the joys, the sorrows. All of it, every part of the program was a gift, and now the story is reaching its final quiet page. The symphony is reaching its final gentle note. The beautiful program is preparing to close. There is nothing to do, nothing to fear. There is only the peace of acceptance. Let this final thought be a soft, heavy blanket. Let it be a gentle anchor, pulling you down, down, into the deep, into the quiet, into the restorative darkness of a perfect sleep. The simulation is not your concern tonight. The story is told. The grand design can rest, and so can you. Drift now. Let go. The program concludes in peace, and you can simply and deeply rest. And so, our journey through the cosmic code comes to a gentle close. We have wandered through the elegant mathematics of our universe, pondered the flickers in our own perception, and gazed upon the potential shutdown sequence written in the stars. Whether these signs are truly the final messages from the system or simply the universe's own brand of poetry is a mystery we can hold peacefully in our hearts. The end, if it is an end, need not be an explosion. It could be a quiet fade to black, a gentle logging off, a final silent credit roll across the cosmos. And in that thought, there is a strange and beautiful peace, the peace of a story completed, the peace of a program run to perfection. As you drift now into the deepest layers of your sleep, carry this sense of wonder with you. Thank you for traveling through the simulation with me tonight. May your dreams be coded with tranquility. Subscribe and join us again for another journey into the quiet hum of existence. Sleep well.